So when I found out I was adopted, I was actually around 13, and I was quote unquote sick from school, but I was really playing hooky. For whatever reason, I didn't want to go to school that day. So in our house, we have like two dining room areas, a small one and a big one. We've always used the small one for whenever we had like company over, and we did Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinners. So we always use a small one, but the bigger one we really never use. So me being the nosy person I am, and I will admit that I am very nosy, I decided that I was going to take it upon myself to go exploring in that room that day. So I went in to the room, and there was this like dresser. They call it armoire, but it's more of a dresser. And that's where, of course, all the nice silverware was. We have nice plates, things of that nature. However, going through the drawers, in the bottom left-hand drawer, there was actually a book, like a little picture book that was pink. And matter of fact, I actually think I just still have it. So give me 1 second and I'll be right back. All right, so I had to go get it. But in the bottom left-hand drawer of that dresser, it was this book. It was a white with the pink ribbons on it. And me being curious, of course, I had to know what was in it. So this used to be a boat, y'all. I'm so sorry. It's been through some things since I took it from my childhood home. But yes, so in the book, of course, when you open it up, this is big old cute pictures of me, y'all. Really cute pictures. And then along the lines, there's a poem that's called Legacy of an Adopted Child. And that's when I realized that this book was me. One, seeing the pictures, I was like, oh, cute baby, hey me. Two, that's when I realized I was adopted. Also, when I realized that I went to foster care for a couple of months before my parents actually got me. Now I'm 13 and I'm reading this and I'm like, no, this can't be true. Like, I'm thinking in my mind at that point, everything that I knew was a lie. Like at 13, you can't process something like, especially if you found out on your own and your parents didn't tell you. I'm pretty sure they had a plan to tell me at some point, but I'm nosy. And I cannot stress that enough, how nosy I actually am. So I found this book, went through it, had the poem that's The Legacy of Adopted Child, that's by an unknown author, and pictures of me, and basically a little excerpt from my foster parents that gave, just little details of what it was like for a couple of months of when they had me, going through little things like at 2 weeks of age, I follow larger images with my eyes of voice. I'm very alert and watch closely when someone is talking to me. I love my bath in the bathtub. The water is so relaxing. Stuff like that. So things like that are in this book. So I read it, feeling whatever emotions I feel. I was honestly, to be honest with you, at that time, I was numb because I was thinking my parents didn't want me. The ones that gave birth to me didn't want me. And then I was like, the life that I lived at 13, the life that I lived was a lie. And so I went to close it, or I was going to close it. And then, because, I'm thinking, I'm never going to find out. They're never going to tell me. But I went to close the book. And then I got on the side flap, there was another envelope of pictures, as well as the child study from Bethany Christian Services. So I took it, and that was probably early in the morning when I found out. Like, I'm going to say it was probably no later than 10 a.m. Okay? So I had all day, because my parents worked. They worked till about 6 or 7 or so, roughly. So I had all day to process this, all day to think about it. So I put the book back in the drawer. And I went into my room and I just sat there and I thought. And the more I thought, the more angry I got. And I think that's where it basically went downhill for me. So from about 13 to 16, about three-ish years, I was definitely not the best child. And I've apologized for it at this point. But then, baby, honey, sugar, I was doing any and everything that I wanted to. Like, I didn't care to be respectful. They tell me something and it was in one ear and out the other. I roll my eyes. I was angry, and being the person that I am, and kind of still am today, I didn't feel comfortable talking to anybody. My mom tried to get the pastor to talk to me. They put me in counseling to see what was going on and why. Because up until 13, I had been this, basically, let's just say I'd been this gold. I mean, yeah, every kid gets in trouble for whatever mistakes that they made, things like that. But for the most part, outside of that, I had been this golden child, like going to church and doing this, that, and there. I'm listening to people, I'm respecting. I don't have this attitude. But then all of a sudden, boom, attitude, being disrespectful, not listening, like not caring. It was a lot. There were things that I did that I'm not going to say that I regret, because I feel like every action shapes you for something, right? So there were things that I was doing that they don't know, good Lord, they don't know, thank God. And I won't say it on this vlog. When I write this book, which I'll keep an eye out for, when I write this book, then I'll give all the juicy details from 13 to 16. But today, no. We gotta ease them on into the things that I was doing that they didn't know that I was doing, and probably still don't know. But yeah, so they didn't understand why I went from basically this good child to this disrespectful child. I think at some point my oldest brother figured it out. How he figured it out, Lord, the world will never know. But I think that he figured it out and was like, that you're adopted. And I agreed. But it was one day that I was working, and my dad has his own office. He's a doctor, a medical doctor, and he has his own office. And I was working, and I think it was Miss Tina, actually, if I'm not mistaken, that actually had this conversation with me and was telling me how blessed I was to be in a good home. And I think it was at that point that I realized that I was thankful, that I was like, I could have been anywhere. Things happen for a reason. And mind you, I had been in church, so every time the doors open, I was there. But things happen for a reason. And I'm acting out and doing all these things for what? When there were people who didn't know me but loved me enough to take me in. So y'all forgive me because I get emotional every time I think about it. So sorry. So here I am doing all these things, disrespecting them, and they don't know what's going on, and I'm not the person to talk about it. And sometimes I'm still like that. Like if something's wrong or I'm upset about something, I harbor those feelings. And as a teenager, especially as a teenager, you don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to assess it. But around the time I turned 16 was when I realized that everything happens for a reason. Like I'm blessed that they took it in their hearts that they wanted to adopt. Because I could have been anywhere. Anybody could have done. You hear those stories about foster kids and what they go through and going from home to home, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation. And I just had to stop, and it was abruptly, things at that point changed for me because it could have been anywhere. But they took it and they adopted me. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to think, I don't know where my parents are. I don't know who they are. They could be this, that, and the third. I came up with all these different scenarios. So that way in my mind, I would never think and I would never disrespect my parents again. And I think that through my actions, I kind of showed them that I had changed a little bit. My mom didn't quite think so, because then I went off to college, and a few years later, I didn't finish, and don't judge my life, but I was tired. And I had to explain to her just recently, it wasn't that I was being disrespectful. It wasn't that I was being spiteful at this point when I stopped going to college. It's because I was tired, and mentally I don't think I was ready. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But yeah, so 13 to 16, wasn't the best kid. 16, it was like a aha moment. The doors opened up, was like, girl, you tripping. You got to set up. You never have to want for anything. You were instilled with good values. You work hard for everything. Your daddy gonna fuss anytime you ask for something, but he's still gonna give it to you. So what are you doing? You're not living a miserable life. You're not going through this horrible lifestyle that you're trying to make yourself go through. So yeah, So 16 was my awakening, and then when I turned 18 is when I started to look for my birth mother. And that in itself is another day, another story, and another video. So catch you next week. Cool.